All right, it is some more film study as we decided that since we have a short week with a Monday Night Football, let's cram in even more podcasts this week. So it's a new episode of By the Numbers for your Friday afternoon. Ken McKusick, how you doing?
Life's good, Josh. How about you?
I'm great. Dan, this is your show. No welcome, no guests, no how to have me. This is your show.
All
How's it
right,
going?
I'm doing good. Uh,
All right.
Pretty recovered from Monday, but we're doing all right. So ready for the next game. So
Yeah, let's look forward to the next game. It'll be a whole lot more fun. And let's get into this because we don't have a whole lot of time on this podcast.
We'll
all
have a
right.
little looking back as well. Dan, as always, why don't you go first?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we'll do some looking back on the last game, and then some looking forward to this next game. So first stat I've got is a negative 9.8%. That's the completion percentage above expected by Next Gen Stats for Lamar Jackson this week. Because it's negative, it's actually he completed fewer passes than expected. That percentage is based off of the positioning of the defenders and the receivers relative at the time of the pass. Negative 9.8% was the second worst in week 3 and the fifth worst in 2020 so far. The only one worse in week 3 was Jeff Driscoll. So not a good place to be for Lamar for this week, as it was evident. Not a great showing from him.
Not all entirely his fault. A couple of drops by receivers, some balls that didn't get played very well, but obviously an awful, awful game that's among the worst he's ever had, if not the worst. I'm going to move forward. 10 and 156 are my numbers. I count deceptive rushes, and we've talked about this before, but that's two or more elements of two or more dropping from the line of scrimmage. That's number one. A count of one for each individual blitzer from off the line of scrimmage, and the number of stunts. And the Ravens had 10 individual pass rushes, which fell into that category. On those plays, Mahomes went 10 of 10 for 156 yards and one TD. So, to say the least, he was not deceived.
Yeah, he had those pretty well handled. Quick passes, just hot routes, all sorts of different things. He had those pretty handled. So, all right, next number I've got is actually a set of two numbers: negative 0.285 versus 0.75, and those are the EPA per design pass play for the Ravens versus the number for Kansas City. So negative 0.285 for the Ravens and 0.75 for Kansas City.
Holy
Uh,
mackerel. So every time they threw a pass, it was three-quarters of a point.
it, yeah, yep,
Wow.
yep. The best and wasn't even design pass play. So sacks, rushes, ending penalties or anything like that. It was pretty impressive. So Kansas City was the best in week 3. Ravens second worst in week 3. The average, just for comparison, is 0.11. So to have a negative 0.285 is another example of the Ravens really struggling for pass, and Kansas City 0.75 just dominating. As I said, second worst was the Ravens. The worst was the Jets at negative 0.55. So that's
Wow.
that's really painful. So at
So,
least we're
yeah,
not
we
there.
watched Lamar
Yeah.
play, and Darnold was 5 times as bad.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, 27, 16, and 1. The 27 are the number of dime snaps the Ravens play. Dime, let's remind people what that is. 6 defensive backs. It's a specialized package. It's got one primary purpose: get the opponent off the field on those high leverage passing situations. Of those 27 snaps, 16 were conversions allowed. 9 of those occurred on third down, the others on second down or first down even. But 16 conversions on 27 dime snaps. And there was only one drive ending play in that group. Unacceptable. That is a terrible game. And the Chiefs and Mahomes shredded the Ravens dime for 10.0 yards per play, 271 yards on 27 passes.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, just to say the least. Could not get them off the field. So, all right, now I'm going to try to turn to something a little bit more positive. So, 21.48. That's the miles per hour that Devin Duvernay hit as a top speed on his 93-yard kickoff return. So that's pretty impressive. Over 21 miles per hour. That's the third highest of the season so far. only behind 2 plays by Raheem Mostert. Mostert. I'm not sure how to pronounce the
Yeah,
last name.
from the
So,
Ravens practice squad,
yep.
track star.
Yeah, so he's real fast. So to be right behind that is pretty impressive. It was also the second longest play in number of yards run with 110.4. So he got his work cut out for him in that run, and it really kind of showed the flash from him, and really excited us for a little while, and excited us for what can come from him. So.
Yeah, really hoping to see him a bigger part of the offense. 13 is my next number. That's the number of consecutive games that Bradley Bozeman had gone without surrendering a sack. So I'm trying to turn a negative here into a positive. He gave up a sack and a half on Monday to the Chiefs, as I counted it, but it had been since week 6 of 2019 when he gave up the last, and went all the way through, including that playoff game, without giving up a sack. He had trouble with Chris Jones. Who doesn't? I think it's really a reflection of how well Bozeman's played and how much of a solidifying force he's been when we really thought he was the weakness after that Week 6 game last year. Since then,
Yeah, and excuse me. Yeah, definitely impressive so far, and unfortunately had to run into Chris Jones, but he's got another challenge ahead of him. Fourth stat, 13.1% versus 5.2%. That's adjusted sack rate from the Football Outsiders. 13.1% is from the Washington Football Team, and 5.2% is for the Baltimore Ravens. So 13.1%, that's first in the league, versus 5.2% is 23rd. The adjusted sack rate is based off of sacks and intentional groundings divided by pass attempts, and then adjusted for down distance and opponent. So tries to kind of make it all uniform. So they've got the offensive line has got their work cut out for them against the Washington Football Team. I know they're missing some key people, hopefully, or maybe this week. Not hopefully. So
Chase
but
Young is
yep,
apparently out. He
Chase
didn't
Young.
practice today.
Yep, and just a sign of the offensive line and the challenge that they've got. They've 11.4% from the O line from their perspective, the Baltimore O line. So that's 31st in the league. So not a great matchup for us, our O line versus their D line. So we'll see how that goes this week.
All right. I've got a double here again, 1.68 and 1.50. 1.68 is the Washington points scored per offensive drive. That's 27th in the NFL. And 1.50, the Ravens points allowed per defensive drive. That's first in the NFL. So I'd expect a very low points per drive in this game. I'd like to see the Ravens get it in the low ones or even down to one, which might be about a 10-point game they'd allow to the Redskins. I do really expect the Ravens to step up with a big game defensively, and despite the fact that the game plan did not work against the Chiefs with a lot of deceptive pressure, I think that's exactly the sort of game plan that should work against Haskins, and I expect Martindale to realize that and really ratchet up the deception for this game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be key as well. You know, Haskins and Mahomes are on quite different levels, to say the least. Quite an understatement. So we'll definitely see the deception play into that. So my fifth stat is about the Washington Football Team game as well. Going back to DeVoa, so negative 35.3% and negative 23.1%. So negative 35.3%, that's their offensive DeVoa for the Washington Football Team. That's 29th. So
Oof.
as a reminder, DeVoa is, it's an adjusted value relative to 0%. Defense value over adjusted. Is that what it is? I think so.
Value over average,
Over
perhaps. I'm
average.
not sure.
DeVoa, anyway. So, 29th in the league. That's real rough. So that should be a solid matchup for our defense. Unfortunately, they're fourth on the defensive side, so it's going to be a real challenge for our offense. So.
All right. Love DeVoa. It's worth checking out the Football Outsiders site. My last one, 6 and 20. Obviously, we came into this game with a big matchup with Tucker and Butker in terms of who might be the best kicker in the game, and hopefully this took a step in the right direction. 6 is now the number of consecutive field goals Justin Tucker would have to miss to drop from the top field goal percentage in NFL history. So he's back to very safe territory there. Alternatively, Harrison Butker could make his next 20 in a row and catch Tucker. So that's where I get that. So after Monday Night Football now, Tucker is ahead by 1.6 percentage points over the next highest all time. I just come back to the fact that there's more 400 hitters on April 30th than there are on September 30th. And Butker is in the May 15th of his career, whereas Tucker is more like on the June 30th of his career, and he's hitting 425. To stretch that metaphor as far as it'll go, there's going to be kickers who come along who will outkick Tucker at the start of his career for a short period of time. There's going to be very few people who can keep it up for a long period. One of the things to look at is that, I noted this, that Butker has only made 94.5% of his extra points since they moved out to 33 yards. That's all his career. Whereas Tucker has only missed threes at 98.5%.
Okay.
So big difference.
Yeah, just an example during that game of how lucky we are to have Tucker. So consistent, definitely consistent. So great to have. So.
All right, Dan, another great episode of this. I love these little quick hitting episodes. We got it down to 11 minutes. Feeling good about that. Thanks for coming on again, and we'll talk to you next time on Film Study.